Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to the show. What show? It's the All Around Growth Podcast. What's that? It's a show that provides insight and tools to building the life, creating the life and homestead of your dreams. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. Welcome back. Today is October 25th, 2021. This is episode number 213 of the show. And after reading all three of the devotionals this morning to get started with my day, to get started with my week, I decided that I would share Dan Miller's devotional, The Rudder of the Day, to hopefully provide you with a rudder for your day, a rudder for your week, and also just overall encouragement. So let me take a pause after driving through the clearing here, and we'll get right into it, shall we? The title for the show, the title of the episode is going to be, But the Pay is Good. And the question, is money the only reason you go to work each day? Again, this is from Dan Miller, the Rudder of the Day, author of 48 Days to the Work You Love. And the basis of this book is this is stories and wisdom to kickstart your workday. And oftentimes I use this to kickstart the podcast. So let's roll. One of the questions in my information form for clients asks him/her to briefly describe their current work situation. Quote, intolerable, evil, degrading, dirty, backbreaking, dehumanizing, demoralizing, but the pay is good. Close quote. This was the written response from a lady who was thinking about making a change. She had been with a government agency for 9 years and was really paid quite well. However, she, like many of us, came to the realization that money is ultimately never enough compensation for investing our time and energy. There must be a sense of meaning, accomplishment, and purpose. Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst, said we go through seasons in our lives. In the first seasons, we are more concerned with physical and material needs, food on the table, a roof over our heads, etc. But as we approach the midlife seasons, we all start to ask questions that are more philosophical and spiritual. Is there really a purpose for my life? Am I making a difference? How will I be remembered? These questions require different kinds of answers. Fortunately, there does not have to be a trade-off. Doing something that is noble or something that makes a difference does not have to mean that we will lower our income. In fact, what I usually see is when there is an authentic alignment of how God has gifted us, more money comes our way. Knowing that money is a byproduct of doing something we love and doing it with excellence, it should come as no surprise that it's harder to make money doing something we don't enjoy. Finding our purpose or mission in life not only brings us a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment, it releases a sense of self-confidence, boldness, enthusiasm, and money. Jung says, the primary concerns of the first half are biological and social, while those of the second are cultural and spiritual. Man has two aims. The first is the natural aim, the begetting of children and the business of protecting the brood. To this belongs the acquisition of money and social position. Only when this aim has been achieved does the new aim, the cultural aim, become feasible. Quote, success in the first half of life usually requires channeling one's energies single-mindedly in a specific direction, This results in development of a relatively narrow, one-sided personality and a failure to actualize much self-potential, which remains dormant in the unconscious. The crisis of midlife can serve to wake up this dreaming, undiscovered self, and the rest of life can provide the opportunity for its development. Close quote. Carl Jung. If the pay is the only thing keeping you at your job, you are likely sacrificing your health, your confidence, your enthusiasm, a higher level of income, and the authenticity to be what God created you to be. And as is typical with the rudder of the day, before we ask ourselves the questions for today that provide some direction for today, we'll read a passage from the Bible, 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 9. But those who want to be rich fall into temptation, a trap, and many foolish and harmful desires, which plunge people into ruin and destruction. The questions for today that provide some direction for today are as follows. Have you been able to wake up the more important self of who you are? What are you doing to give expression to your noble self? Well, if that's not some good stuff to start the day, I'll be honest with you. I began the morning reading 365 Tao because I woke up this morning and wanted to get some movement in, but I still have a nagging shoulder injury from what occurred during a seizure back in June. So I think I injured my rotator cuff, and I'm a little bit reluctant to get back into the kettlebell workout, right? So I decided to take advantage of my subscription to the Gaiam, just the Gaiam subscription, the streaming series through that channel, which involves all sorts of things. And I decided to do the AM Chi, the Tai Chi routine that I began doing a long time ago. I've been doing this for at least 10 years. And felt really good. And I was just mindful of, the Chi, if you will, Tao. And I decided to read, grab that book and see what it said for the morning. Wasn't really feeling what was in the book for today. Pulled out the other daily devotional that I have, Strength for Today, Christian devotional that was gifted to me. Wasn't really feeling that one either. I just read a couple sentences from Rudder of the Day and immediately felt like this was going to resonate. So luckily, we have a long driveway, and I am able to read through most of this before I get to the end of the driveway. And I think that this is important for me to think about, talk about, and just be mindful of. The pay is not that great where I currently am. All right? And I would like, we all want to get paid more, right? We always want to get paid more. I get paid a fair wage. I'd like to see a raise come at some point. I'd like to see some dialogue about that. I'd really like to see more communication in general, but that's that's not it. And that's likely not going to happen in the future. I've talked a lot of shit about my employer in the past, either directly or indirectly, and in a sense that's been some of my reluctance to share some of what I've done with the show and talked about on the show, and just sharing the show, period, because I know that I'm going through like a bit of a transition, if you will, and I've examined some topics that have given me the opportunity to unpack some things and share some things that I'm not entirely sure if I'd be all that comfortable, even though I sort of prefaced these moments with, well, I'd be welcome to a conversation, and I would be, but it wouldn't necessarily be the most comfortable conversation, because the way I'm going about talking about these things in the show aren't necessarily the way that I would go about doing them in real life, much the way a keyboard warrior goes about spouting comments online on various social media platforms. But despite the fact that I've talked some shit in the past, I do want to acknowledge the fact that I have respect for the owner of the company who I work for and who employs me. I respect what he's built over the past 30 plus years, and there are some other people that are employed that I respect. There are some that I don't. And that's it. I don't have much more to say about that. I've lost respect for some people, but that's okay. People change, dynamics change, and maybe it's not so much that people change. I don't want to be so bold as to talk about what change is occurring in other people, because I'm more interested in the change that's occurring within myself and the change that's taking place in my life and what I'm doing to activate that change, right? So less focus on others, more focus on me. Why is all of that important? Why do I share all of that with you? Well, yes, I've talked some shit about the past, in the past, I've talked some shit about my job and perhaps even some people. I don't know. I hope not. But there are a lot of positive things about my job. I work in the same field that I've worked in for a couple decades now. But in the process, I've been learning new skills. I've been receptive to new ways of doing old things. And I've also realized that I can utilize many opportunities to learn more and not only advance my knowledge, but advance my skill sets, right? And that's what I've done over the years. And I'm open to opportunities should they present themselves. I don't know how actively I'm going to seek opportunities because I've got a pretty good thing going now. I used to spend a lot of time on the road. I used to spend a lot of time commuting, a lot of wheel time doing inspections and things like that in the past. Now, my commute, I can make it in 15 minutes generally, these episodes run a little long because I take my time down the driveway reading things like the Rudder of the day, and I take my time because I can. Guys, I'm sorry if you hear some buzzing in the background. It appears as though my dashboard has cracked even more, and we may be hearing this moving forward as long as I drive this vehicle and as long as the podcast continues in the vehicle. There's a lot of positive about what I do. Even when I had a partner, Samantha, I spent a lot of time working independently and working by myself. Now that my partner is gone and I'm a little uncertain of the future, that whole communication thing, I work even more by myself than I did in the past. And that's not a bad thing. I don't mind people. In fact, I enjoy people. I enjoy working and helping people that genuinely and sincerely want to find solutions. But I'm no longer convinced that solutions is what we're actually looking for with there's some guys, I'm sorry, I started thinking about the project that I was working on at the day job and the potential for this software that I basically had to help the programmers rewrite because we were unwilling to change. And there's so much potential, but because of our unwillingness to change, we had to make some tremendous changes to fit. So I like a challenge. I'm open to work, but I'm not sure how deeply I want to seek it, right? But should the opportunity present itself, and I think something's brewing, possibly on the horizon, I don't want to talk about that too much. So we'll see. Message me privately if you want some details, but for now, that's it. But if the money is good, all right, here's something else to think about real quick in conclusion before I shut it down early and park the truck and try to figure out what's going on with the construction. If you're in a back-breaking job, a demoralizing job, a job that's humiliating, that just is quite terrible, and you're there and you're there and you're there, I mean, why? At the very least, if you're in a terrible job that pays well, at the very least, follow the baby steps that Dave Ramsey talks about in Financial Peace University, and leverage that income to get out of debt and advance your life. Start making some changes, because unfortunately, I'm afraid that if we aren't proactive with the changes that we make in our life, we will be forced to make change at some point, either directly or indirectly. So, guys, that's it. I lost my train of thought. Things are getting a little bit crazy here, and I'm going to shut it down. Hopefully, at least this episode provided some sort of value to you today, and I hope that you have a great day, a great week. Perhaps this episode served as the rudder for your day, maybe the rudder for your week. Have a great day and a great week. We'll see you on tomorrow's episode. Bye-bye.